How do you improve upon a masterpiece? Where do you begin? Do you challenge that there are flaws worth correcting? Do you make the best parts even better? Do you mix a little of A and a little of B into what could be an altogether improved, yet different thing at the risk of alternating the original audience? Does EA Motive's Dead Space remake recapture the lightning that once brought horror gaming out of its slump?
Just be careful on the approach. I'm not taking any chances with the CEC's pride and joy.
Or are you better off letting sleepy necromorphs slide? Find out in our review. Hey folks, if you enjoyed this video review, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, notification button. It's 3 small clicks for you, but means the world to us. Let's get started. The story beats of Dead Space 2023 are mostly the same as the original. Contact was lost with a planet cracker mining ship known as the USG Ishimura, in orbit of an off-limits world known as Aegis 7. With such a sizable investment on the line, a team is dispatched to check in on the ship and discover the fate of its crew.
Biggest planet cracker in her class, you know. And it looks like they already popped the cork.
Player takes up the mantle of aeronautics engineer Isaac Clarke, whose girlfriend, Nicole Brennan, was a doctor on board the Ishimura. It doesn't take long for everything to go to heck. The Ishimura is infested with brutal, bloodthirsty creatures that seem to be mutated versions of the ship's crew. Isaac and company's ship they arrived on is soon destroyed by the monsters. It's up to the rescue crew to repair what they can and try to escape the insanity. The first thing returning players will notice is that Isaac talks in this game. Where he was once a stoic pile of grunts, groans, and screams, Isaac now engages in conversations between his crew.
Oh my god, Isaac, you made it.
They're everywhere. Shen, is he,
He's gone. Nothing I can do.
Gunnar Wright once again fills the voice role of Clarke, and you can tell from Jump Street just how comfy he is in delivering Isaac's dialogue and reactions to everything. The same can't always be said for every little bit of dialogue in Dead Space though. Despite the fact that they're trapped on a ship full of ravenous monsters that wait to mutilate them, everyone just feels a bit too brusque with their dialogue, if not unusually calm.
What the fuck are these things?
Help. Police. Murder.
It doesn't detract from the core experience though. These folks are accessories to the true stars of the show, which is the Ishimura, its monsters, and the tools Isaac uses to kill them before they can kill him. The redesigned Ishimura is a masterful tapestry of disturbing design, well crafted from the trappings of the original. The flashing lights, various technology both working and failing, and remnants of panic, violence, and chaos are rebuilt smartly, adding details both grandiose and minute to what was already an amazing environment to explore. It's further aided by the fact that the game is almost always seamless in its transitions. Once you load into your adventure, you pretty much never see loading screens again. Dead Space 2023 plays smooth like butter, and the impeccable level of quality in its performance makes sure you never have stuttering pulling away from the fear, tension, and action. The soundscape is better than ever too. Dead Space is one of the few games I always want dead silence around me. The director system of the game makes sure the enemies could come at you from any angle at any time. In the stark quiet, I was always looking around me carefully to make sure that I wasn't getting hit in the back by an unnoticed assailant. Its louder points are magnificent too, whether you're hearing the panicked music of incoming enemy assault, or just the grinding, whirling, screeching, buzzing, and other chaos of the ship's systems. This remake kept me on my toes, listening and watching carefully just as much, if not more, than the original.
It didn't die. We shot that fucker right between the eyes and it didn't die. Smith had to shoot its fucking arms and legs off. For God's sake, send help!
If you think you know exactly what weapons you want to use when it comes to Dead Space 2023 based on your experience with the original, I'm here to tell you to reconsider the whole arsenal. There are definitely weapons in the 2008 Dead Space I wrote off because they didn't fit what I wanted. But in this Dead Space, they all felt viable to me one way or another. The plasma cutter still does exactly what it used to, But the pulse rifle brings Dead Space 2 and 3's proximity mine alternate fire into play whether you want to make a trap or run it as an underbarrel grenade launcher. Likewise, I had completely shelved the flamethrower in the original game because it sucked. Not so here. Not only is it great for keeping large group of enemies in check, but its new alternate fire pitches out a flame wall that stops the approach of most enemies and gives you some breathing room to focus on other threats. Where it was an insta drop into item storage in 2008, the flamethrower was one of my most used weapons here. Other weapons feel equally improved in their performance, and I couldn't really give you a reason why I wouldn't use one other, then I just liked others more. Enemies and encounters also feel well improved. I have a long history of getting really annoyed with a horror game that gives me an arsenal that makes me feel like the enemies I come across are trivial. Dead Space has an arsenal, but I never felt overconfident. First off, it throws a reasonable amount of enemies at you at every juncture, eating up your ammo if you intend to fight them off. On medium difficulty, I always felt like I was scraping by for every clip of ammo and every precious medkit keeping me alive. I never ran out, thankfully, but I felt a distinct gut cramp every time I missed a crucial shot or took a hit I felt I could have avoided. In short, I was nearly always on edge, and that's the way I feel it ought to be if you're giving me so many weapons. Some of the encounters and set pieces in this remake have been hugely improved over the original counterparts as well. There's a certain part where asteroids are pummeling the Ishimura, and Isaac has to do something about that. The original on-rail shooter approach to this was one of my least favorite parts of 2008's Dead Space. Here, EA Motive reworked the section entirely, and not only does it avoid sucking the fun out of that part of the game, but it actually feels perfectly sensible the way you go about it. I was really dreading playing that part, and EA Motive turned it into a fun and intense, yet sensible segment.
Warning. Local door protocols corrupted. Rebooting system. Please stand by.
Unfortunately, finding your way to the next location wasn't always one of those things. Dead Space has always had a pinging system where Isaac reveals a holographic digital line that will point him in the direction of his next objective. I don't know if I'm misremembering, but here, in the remake, the line fades away much too fast. I often had to object ping multiple times, especially if the directions went behind Isaac, simply because I didn't see where they were pointing before they were gone. A minor inconvenience, but it was one I had to deal with all game.
Strange. Such a little thing.
I will say, Dead Space ups its gore to the max with some extremely impressive shredding mechanics. You'll see flesh, muscle, blood, and bone stripped away from enemies with every shot, visually telling you what kind of damage you're doing. However, this includes ragdoll physics, when you blow a monster's limb off or kill them. In my experience, there was no lack of janky ragdolls just spamming all over the floor. I appreciate the attention to detail in Gore, but sometimes the silly ragdoll effects pulled me out of the tension.
Easy to say the wrong thing.
That said, the Dead Space remake has a lot to enjoy after you roll credits too. There's a new game plus, in which you can discover secrets and even a new ending that can't be obtained in the first run. Just as well, for the truly insane and hardcore, the highest difficulty features a new suit and reward for Isaac if you can manage to complete it. With the campaign already easily clocking at double-digit hours, there's a ton of the game to enjoy here. When Dead Space originally came out in 2008, it revitalized a stagnant genre. Horror was in a slump from too much of the same thing, and well-known franchises leaning towards more action. In came EA and Visceral Games to turn the genre on its head and give us something truly innovative and terrifying to play. A new spark to ignite the fear we were deprived of at the time. Remaking this is a tall order, so I've been nervous about EA Motive's attempt from the get-go, but I'm happy to admit my fears were unfounded. Not only is 2023's Dead Space remake good, it takes everything that made the 2008 game good and makes it better, even outright swapping out certain weak points from the original to make a top-to-bottom must-play for anyone looking for a good scare in their games. And if this leads to further remakes and content in the Dead Space franchise, then I'm glad EA Motive are the ones at the wheel. Hey folks, if you enjoyed this video review, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, notification button. It's 3 small clicks for you, but means the world to us. For more video reviews and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com.